Well, Johnny, it is AL MVP time. Will it be Aaron Judge? Will it be Shohei Ohtani? Will it be Yordan Alvarez? Who should it be? Well, I think y'all know how we feel about that. You've come to the right place for the right discussion. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we are live on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're watching us live, if you're listening or watching later, maybe on Friday, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Of course, every show is free and available on all platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review. And those watching on YouTube, you can help the show out with a like, a comment, a subscription, and click that bell to be notified every time a new episode drops. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us on this live edition of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John. Johnny, I've got my iced tea ready to go because we are live. There it is. I've also got my dad, Not All Heroes Wear Capes mug, and because we might need some energy, I got a Built Bar, so I'm ready to go.
Hey, let's go.
Let's do this.
I have the world's biggest Smart Water ready to go. It's bigger
You're
than my head.
You're going to need a potty break in between.
I know. And got the Shohei shirt.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Come on.
The Shohei shirt.
That's right.
That was the most talked about shirt that you have ever worn at an Angel game when you walked around with that shirt on. I think people wanted to take
the All-Star
photos
game
with you. That's right. It was the All-Star game. People wanted to take photos with you. You're already a hero in a lot of people's minds, but that day you were a mega hero. You were a superhero for a lot of people. So love that shirt, bro.
Hey, look at this. We got a comment from Anthony Aguiluz. Notice me, senpai. Anthony, of course, thank you for jumping in. We love seeing you here. And I see a lot of people here. I see Connor S. I see Hayes. Awesome. Ismail Camarillo. Ismail says, my body is ready. I love that.
Yes.
Come on.
I'm feeling that.
Zach Stoner says, let's go. He says, yo. And then let's see. John Lynn, let's go. Joseph Tran says he's all coffeeed up. Well done, sir.
Joseph. I love
this.
Here we go. Johnny, let's talk a little bit about the two main candidates that we know are in the forefront for the MVP, for AL MVP.
Yes.
Obviously, Aaron Judge, who had an incredible record-breaking season.
Yes.
Let me just run some numbers. He played in 157 games. He scored 133 runs, 177 hits. He had 28 doubles. I know we don't talk about doubles. Like, that's not cool. That's not sexy, right? But he had 28 doubles.
Yeah.
And he had 62 home runs, a new American League record, 131 RBIs. Now, those RBI numbers are almost 20 more than he had previous, and that was his Rookie of the Year season. And 62 home runs was 10 more than his previous career high, which was also his rookie season. And he won Rookie of the Year that year. But here's the stats that really stand out, Johnny. 311 batting average, 425 on base, 686 slugging, and a 1.111 OPS. He had an OPS plus of 211. I mean, This guy had a phenomenal season.
Do you see all the bold numbers there, Mike? Those are league-leading stats.
Right.
Aaron Judge led the league in runs, home runs, RBIs, walks, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS plus. Whew, that's some stiff competition,
right?
If not for Shohei Ohtani doing pitching and hitting and doing both at an elite level. Let's look at this comment here. We got EJ says, can't spell Ohtani without MVP. I don't know how to read. I love that. And then we got
English class.
Orange County Gal is in the house. Hey, Super Halo Bros. Hello, Orange County Gal, a big fan of ours. And Claudia Rose, who sends in questions from time to time, says, I'm doing math homework while listening. Well, hopefully we don't distract you. And frequent commenter Scott Freeman. Ohtani for the win. Woo!
Scott is a great listener and a great commenter. He always has some brilliant statements. Scott, from me to you, thank you for being so brilliant. You raise the IQ of Locked On Angels when you listen and when you comment. So we appreciate
That's right.
that.
Mike, why don't you talk about Ohtani stats now that
I was going to say,
Judge.
Since we're talking about math homework, let me give you some stats, some numbers here. So Ohtani obviously had a really great season. He played in 157 games offensively and had 666 at bats. Ooh, that's scary. And he had 34 home runs. Please, Lord, forgive me. 34 home runs, 95 RBIs. And here's his stat line: 273, 356, 519, and 875 OPS. And here's really where the numbers start to get really clear for us. Aaron Judge had a 10.6 WAR, and Shohei Ohtani had a 9.6 WAR. That was a combination of his offensive stats and his pitching stats. Johnny, let's talk about his pitching stats for a moment, because this was his greatest pitching performance of his career so far in MLB. So share some of those stats with us. Uh-oh. Johnny, I can't hear you. You're muted.
How did that happen?
There you are.
My bad. You said pitching stats, right?
Yes, I did.
I told you guys we were going to roll with this one, and that's funny. I saw your face like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I was like, is that just me, or is that all right? This is live,
I was just getting caught up.
Live.
You know what? I got caught up in the comments because there's so many great comments here. Before I get into Shohei's stats, let me just say, EJ said, what time is the announcement? Well, right now they're talking to Nolan Arenado, and I can't tell if he won. I'm not sure. I got it in my ear, and they might just be talking to him, but shortly here soon. I'm assuming about 3:30 is when they'll do the announcement for AL MVP. So there we go. Connor S says anything happens live. That's correct, Connor. So while we're running down the stats, they're talking about him being a finalist. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was trying to see where we were at on the
listening with two ears is hard to do.
I know.
My wife tells me that all the time.
Okay. Shohei's pitching stats here.
Yeah.
He's got a 15-9 record, a 2.33 ERA, 28 games started, 166 innings pitched, the most of his career in the MLB. And man, 219 strikeouts. He was dominant this season. He led the league, the American League, with 11.9 Ks per 9. So he's striking out 12 people per 9 innings. It's incredible. Unreal. And man, he just has had an incredible season on the pitching side and the hitting side. Mike, I think he's got a chance. I know that you and I are Ohtani stands. We're biased, but
that West Coast bias, you can smell it. That's
right. It's emanating around Locked On Angels. Yeah. So I can't even talk. I'm so excited.
You're so excited.
Let's see here. Mickey O says if Ohtani didn't do what he did last year, this wouldn't be a conversation. People act like this is the new normal. We should never assume Ohtani can do this every year. Not fair to Ohtani. Mickey makes a great point because the conversation around MLB has been, well, he got it last year. And it's like he had an incredible season last year. And this year is arguably even better than last year. How is this a question this season?
Let me share some stats we've shared on this pod before. The Angels won 16 of Ohtani's starts. They lost 12 of those starts. In the Angels' victories, Ohtani had an ERA of .69.
Mm-hmm.
With Ohtani at the plate in those victories, he created 1.3 runs per game. Now, here's where I think it really pushes him over the top.
Mm-hmm.
When Ohtani starts, the Angels had a 96 win pace. When Ohtani doesn't pitch, the Halos had a 68 win pace. WAR doesn't measure that. And then these are the stats that really stand out. Okay, here we go. Number of players in MLB history, more than 22,000. Number of players in history with a season of 180 Ks, an ERA of 2.6 or lower, 5+ K walk to rate ratio. Only 38 have done that. All right. Now, number of players in MLB history with 30 home runs, 5+ triples, a 350 on base percentage. 147. A number of players in history with both in a single season. Johnny, tell me who it is. Tell me. Come on.
Number
tell me
one,
who it is.
Shohei Ohtani, the only one to ever do it, man. I love that. I love that. There's some comments here just saying, Judge is winning the thing. He's going to win it if it's deserving. And certainly so. Like we've said all season long, like this to us can go either way. And, while it will be disappointing for us if Ohtani doesn't get it, then I think it's deserved on Judge's side, because I know it's all about the home run race, but those offensive numbers are pretty insane. And we've seen numbers like that from Trout in the past, and he's a 3-time MVP. But man, if you just combine what Shohei has been able to do, unbelievable. So we'll see what happens here in just a minute. Mike, let's take a quick little break and share our offer with our Locked On Angels listeners from BetOnline.
Well, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all sports betting info, stats, news, analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every amateur and professional league out there, from football, basketball, to soccer and esports. They've got you covered at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, and you do because you're here, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They talk all about betting and help you to get started. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Johnny, BetOnline is where the game starts.
Yes, it is. Hey, y'all, we want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen today, whether that's today or any other day of the week. And maybe you're watching this tomorrow if you weren't able to join the live. You got to check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, like the AL MVP award. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today is available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm watching the chaos on Twitter right now, and it's funny to see Yankee fans and Angel fans are saying about the same thing. They're saying, I hope that MLB gets this right today, or I'm going to be mad. And both sides are saying the same thing. So there is going to be a battle no matter what happens today, no matter who gets voted the AL MVP. And I see that we got other people making comments as well. So why don't you take a moment and read those, Johnny?
Yeah, Pakekafai says, the way I see it, it takes a historic season like Judge's to compete for MVP.
That's a great point.
Shohei. Absolutely.
That's a really great point.
Considering the fact that like Shohei's so outstanding and he's going to make it competitive every single year. And it's going to take a Aaron Judge like season to make this a conversation, to make this a debate. Right. And that's what's going on Twitter right now. So incredible stuff from both guys, to be honest.
Yeah. And so, John, let's talk real quick before they make this announcement. If Ohtani doesn't win, then what does Ohtani have to do in order to win? Because this was a remarkable unicorn type of season. And obviously, our last listener made a good point. Like, Judge had to break the home run record in the AL to be in competition with him. And so if Ohtani doesn't win, what does he need to do in order to win?
Man, I don't know if it's a better win and loss record. And that's kind of the thing that frustrated me about the fourth in Cy Young voting. I know he wasn't a top 3 finalist. We talked about that a few episodes ago, and that was frustrating. But I think him being fourth as a Cy Young voter only adds to this conversation of can he win MVP? So, Mike, I don't know if the wins and losses need to be better. And the problem is that's not always on Shohei, considering the bullpen was really frustrating this season. It was better than last year because he had a better record this year. The bullpen was able to lock it down much more than 2021. That bullpen was a dumpster fire. And this one, as frustrating as it has been and should have been better, wasn't as bad as 22 or 21. So, man, I think more innings pitched, I think, is important. I think that him contributing to the team in that way, and I don't know if that means moving to a 5-man rotation, which has been some of the talk on the streets, if you will.
Right. Here's what's interesting is you've mentioned a lot of pitching stats. I actually think that if his offensive stats mirrored last year's stats, I don't think that this is a conversation this season on if he's going to win it. I think his offensive stats, if they matched last year or came close to last year, then I think that he is the overwhelming MVP. Now, obviously, Aaron Judge breaking the AL home run record is going to put all eyes on him. And that's a great accomplishment, great achievement. He had an incredible year and led in all those statistical categories. But I think if Ohtani doesn't win today, I think that it's going to be the offensive stats that would have to maybe come up a little bit. He's going to have to hit maybe a bit more home runs, maybe have a bit of a higher batting average. Somebody said a while back when we had this discussion, they commented and said, Ohtani can't strike out as much. Like he's got to be able to knock in runs when necessary and be the guy that kind of carries the team, because that's what Aaron Judge did this last season. He had a lot of moments where Yankees were struggling. They were in the midst of a losing streak or maybe going to lose 2 or 3 in a row. And then he would hit a home run or he would hit a double or he would get a hit and he would knock in a run and he would put the Yankees right back in the game. And I think that those are sexy moments for voters. They like to see that, right? Because those are the highlights that you see on sports networks. And so, not that Ohtani didn't have that, because there was a lot of moments. But I think when his offensive stats, they might rise a little bit. That actually might help him in this discussion if he doesn't win today.
I like this comment here. Jamie Lannister. Oh no, not from Game of Thrones. Basically, if Shohei surpassed Judge in WAR, I think he'd be MVP. I think that's a reasonable thought, but
yeah,
I think Scott brings up a great point. The problem is that the standard baseball measurements don't know how to value Ohtani. This is his greatest season the greatest season in history.
Yeah,
not even close. And that's the thing that we've talked about several times is how WAR doesn't really comprehend Shohei because they kind of they negate him as a DH, right? He is kind of penalized for being a DH because it doesn't play a position other than pitcher.
You know what listeners should go and check out is Bally Sports West on Twitter. They had a really great video today, Thursday, about a better measurement between Ohtani and Judge. And they talk through a stat, and it's one of those fancy stats that has a whole lot of names to it. But it talked about how this is a better measurement, and the gap between Ohtani and Judge was so small. It was really slim. Judge did have better statistical numbers, but the gap was a lot smaller because it measured more of Ohtani's contribution on the mound. It measured more of Ohtani's contribution at the plate, and it didn't negate it because he didn't play the field like Aaron Judge did. And Aaron Judge being able to play right field or center field actually helps him in the WAR category.
I like this comment here. We've got Cedar 4N on Twitter, on YouTube says, a starting pitcher has way more influence on the outcome of a game than any other player. How can we not say that he's been more valuable in the games he's played? Right. And I think that's kind of the point about the WAR, right?
Yes.
Because you and I had a discussion of it all starts with the pitcher and keeping guys from getting on base. Right. And so if you're preventing, 27 guys from getting on base and creating 27 outs, I mean, that's a perfect game. But it's like, it starts with the pitcher. Right. And so because he is only pitching every 6th day and that's his technical position on the field, I don't know, Mike. There was a stat you and I shared that it says Ohtani starts, the Angels have a 96 win pace. And when Ohtani doesn't pitch, the Halos have a 68 win pace.
Right.
And that demonstrates the value he has as a pitcher. And it says WAR doesn't measure that sort of thing. And to me, that screams value. And if we're going to go back to whether this is most impressive player or most valuable player, I think that adds a lot to the conversation in terms of the value that Ohtani adds to the Angels. Again, he stopped the losing streak against Boston. And that period of six starts over the summer, we only won Ohtani games that he started. And it's just man, a lot of people say, well, if you take a Judge off the Yankees, they don't make the playoffs. The Angels don't have Ohtani. They cease to exist, and especially over the summer.
They get Thanos snapped off of the planet, right? Here's the stat that put it over the edge for me, and I don't have the specifics, but the game that we played against the Yankees when Ohtani pitched and he hit, and he had a phenomenal night, so did Aaron Judge. At the end of the night, Aaron Judge had, I think, a 1 point more WAR than Ohtani did, and Ohtani, I think, went 8 innings and had a couple of hits, maybe even a home run that night, and Aaron Judge walked away with more WAR. And I think the Angels actually won that game. And so that's where you and I were like, this is ridiculous. If he wins the game, shouldn't that be a full point of WAR? Because he won the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Judge walked away with more WAR that night. That was kind of a funny thing that happened. Hey, let's talk about this quote from Phil Nevin. I've said it before.
Yeah.
He's the most valuable player, speaking of Ohtani, in the game right now. Until somebody can come in and do the things that he does on both sides, I don't see it going any other way. I love Aaron Judge like a son, but I'll continue to say it. Ohtani can take over a baseball game like nobody can. So Phil Nevin's own son, he gives it to Ohtani over his son. Hey, I think we're getting close to the NL MVP announcement. So why don't we take a quick break and talk about our friends at SimpliSafe, Mike?
You got it. Hey, if you thought about securing your home with a home security system, but you've been putting it off, now's the time to actually pay attention. You're going to want to listen up. Right now, Locked On Angel listeners can order the #1 rated SimpliSafe home security system for 50% off. And here's why getting security now is so important. During the holidays, unfortunately, property crimes like burglaries and package theft, they spike nationally. And that's why SimpliSafe is here to give you a deal and the protection that you need. With a SimpliSafe home security system, you get HD security cameras, both inside and outside, plus advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, along with hazard sensors that deflect or detect fires and floods and other threats to your home. With the top-rated SimpliSafe app, being safe is convenient and easy. You can stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. You can arm or disarm. You can unlock for guests. You can access your cameras, or you can adjust your system settings. So this is your chance to save big this holiday season on the only security system that we recommend here at Locked On Angels. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/LockedOnMLB today. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. Don't miss it. It's simplisafe.com/LockedOnMLB. And remember, there's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Got some good comments here. I like this one. Double Down says, I hate the mainstream media narrative of creating the most outstanding player award just for Ohtani, which is absolute BS. Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
if you're going to do that, like, then you're just trying to find an excuse for why you can't give Ohtani the MVP because you're trying to give it to somebody else. So frustrating. Like this one, Claudia Rose said, Patrick O'Neill was debating with Yankee fans on Twitter today on why Ohtani should win. That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, if Ohtani going to work.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Patty O. Now, if Ohtani wins, he will be the second Angel to win 2 MVPs. The other Angel obviously is Mike Trout, who won 3 MVPs, 2014, 2016, and 2019. Johnny, do you know the other 2 names? Can you name the other 2 names? Or those listening, those watching, can you name the other 2 that have won MVP?
Who did you say again?
I said Trout and Ohtani.
Oh, okay.
Those were the 2, yeah.
Oh, Vladdy Guerrero.
Yep, Vladdy Daddy.
Yeah. And
2004.
It's Don Baylor, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Don Baylor, 1979. Hey. Yeah. In fact, here's some stats from those seasons. First of all, Vladdy's MVP season, he had a 989 OPS. He had 39 home runs and 126 RBIs. That was his first season with us. I remember how excited I was when Vlad Guerrero signed with us. In fact, I was on a bus coming home from a church camp as a youth pastor, and Locked On Angels listener and fan, my friend Jeremy Copeland, was on another bus coming home from a camp, and he texted me, and I just remember it was, we got Vlad. It was so exciting. Now, he had a 5.6 WAR that season, did not lead the league in WAR. And finishing second behind him was good old Gary Sheffield. He finished second in MVP that year. And then Don Baylor won in 1979. His OPS was 901. Listen to this. He had a 3.7 WAR. And yet he won that season. Had really strong home run numbers and RBI numbers. Fred Lynn, former Angel, he actually finished with an 8.9 WAR that season and finished 4th in the voting, John.
Doesn't that show you how far stats have come and being able to measure stats? I mean, hey, we're Angel fans. We got a MVP in Don Baylor.
Right.
But the fact that Fred Lynn had an 8.9 WAR, a 5.5 game
and finished
war.
fourth. Yeah.
And finished fourth over it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he gets the MVP. Baylor gets the MVP over Fred Lynn, but retroactively they've gone back and looked at the stats that make up WAR and applied it to 1979 and went, oh, well, it looks like they made a mistake. But Mike, it's incredible though, because you think about Vlad getting a 5.6 WAR, and then Trout's first MVP in 14, he had a 7.7 WAR.
Yep.
And then a 10.5 WAR in 16, and in 19 a 7.9 WAR. Man, Aaron Judge has a 10.9 and Ohtani has a 9.9. Do I have that right? I got a
10.6 and 9.6.
10.6, 9.6. Man.
Yep.
Incredible. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's go to some comments here. I see Double Down says Vladdy had the best two-handed swing as a right-hander along with Gloss. You like that?
He did. I just loved when Vladdy came up to the plate, John. You were confident that he was going to come through. You were confident that he was going to do something. I remember when we finally beat the Red Sox in the playoffs, I was watching that game with my family on a Sunday at a pizza place in town, and nobody could talk to me because I'm watching it on the screen. And Vladdy, it was that game where we had 2 outs and we were gonna lose, and the Angels ended up coming back and winning that game, and it was led by Vlad Guerrero. I think he hit a single or a double and knocked in the game-winning, or the game-tying and game-winning run, and we went nuts in that pizza place because that was the first time we were able to beat the Sox because they just beat our Sox the last few years.
Right. I like this. Jamie Lannister said, Fred Lynn robbed.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you seen those Twitter accounts that are like, if Twitter existed in 1979, and then they have people like debating, Fred Lynn should have won. And somebody asked us, where'd that go? Oh, Tyler Lombardo said, how long have you guys been Angel fans? You want to start, Mike?
Yeah, I've been an Angel fan. I can't even remember the first time, Tyler, that I remember watching the Angels, but it was as a young kid. And they were on locally here in Southern California. They were on Channel 9 for a bit. Yeah. Also on Channel 5 for a bit. Then they moved to Channel 9, which was KCAL. And I remember watching them. We'd come home from school and they would be on at night, or come home from a church on a Sunday and they would be on. And so I'd pop them on while I was playing with my brothers. We were hanging out, we had our WWE characters and we were wrestling and watching baseball. And so for as long as I can remember, since I was a kid, really paid attention to the Angels. It got really serious for me junior high school, because I could really pay attention to what the team was actually doing. So the 90s Angels are actually the teams that I remember the most because I was paying attention to them during that time. So GA and Tim Salmon and Jim Edmonds and Darren Erstad and all of those guys, I remember so clearly. Langston and Finley and Abbott, I remember so clearly. I remember like guys like Kurt McCaskill and Jason Dixon and all of those guys. And it was that 95 season when we had a huge lead at the end of the year, and then the Mariners beat us on the last game of the season, and there was no wild card at the time, and we ended up getting knocked out of the playoffs. The struggle there was, if there was a wild card, we would have been in the playoffs, and that game wouldn't have been so intense. But the Mariners won the West, and we got knocked out. And it was the first time I can remember as an Angel fan cheering for the team, and they were good. I remember as I talked with friends and as I talked with family, there was always this conversation of like, Angels are in first place? And everybody was like, yeah. And it was just, we were nervous about it, which is why the early 2000s, that whole decade was just a remarkable decade, because to win 5 AL West championships plus a World Series and a wild card spot, that was unheard of, at least in my mind as an Angel fan, because I wasn't old enough to remember the 86 season. It was a great season. I wasn't old enough to remember some of those early seasons. So that's kind of my Angel history. Johnny, talk about yours.
Yeah, mine started when I was a little kid and I knew you guys, my older brothers, liked the Angels. And then I found out JT Snow was a lefty like me. Yep. I'm a left-handed person.
Yep.
And so he became my favorite Angel. And then I was sad when he went off to the Giants. But yeah, JT Snow was like the only Angel I knew when I was like 4 years old because he was a lefty. But I have to say, I really paid attention. Well, I was there with you for the World Series. We watched that at your house. That was fun. And watched the final game. And then I really have to say I started really investing my time and paying attention after Jared Weaver signed his extension. And said, how much money do I need? I like it here. I want to take care of my family and friends. And and he took that hometown discount, and that's why Weave became my favorite Halo. But I would say from like 2008, 2009 onward is when I really started paying attention. Unfortunately, other than 8, 9, and 14, I missed out on all the good years really paying attention. But I went to spring training with you. We went a couple of times, 07, 08, that sort of thing. So that's kind of when it all started for me. And I'd say probably 2011, 2012 was when I really sunk my teeth in, was watching every game. And so I haven't been around as long as you have, obviously. That's not an age thing. That's just a fan thing.
It's just reality.
That's just reality. But so for me, it was, it started very early. Thanks to you guys. Double Down, he says, my older bro followed the Angels, so I copied him as well, LOL. So that's how it seems to work in families like that, right?
hey, quick shout out to Ben Verlander, who is fighting the good fight for Shohei Ohtani winning the MVP on Twitter right now. So Angel fans, jump on Twitter and just like all of his comments, because he is fighting the good fight right now and just saying, nope, no question. Nope, no question.
No question. No question.
So,
hey, Ben, what about Cy Young, between Ohtani and your older brother?
That's a whtle nother show and a whole nother debate. Let's fight one battle at a time, John. Let's fight one battle at a time. That's funny.
Man. So it looks like somebody asked, Anton Montes said, are we close to the announcement? So it looks like they're really milking this one. I looked at last year just to get the timing right. I was like, hey, when did they announce Shohei's AL MVP? And it was like 3:45 or so last year. Well, it's 3:45 now. They haven't even done NL MVP yet. So they're talking to each guy and things like that. So
great.
We got a little bit more time, but hey,
that was a nice deep breath.
we got our ads out of the way. We've covered some topics here, so now we just get to hang out and wait for the announcement. So I would say if this is any indication, they started at 3. They talked to all 3 players. It's 3:45 right now, West Coast time. I would say maybe another half hour, probably.
Yeah.
So we could do the full hour. Why not?
I'm down. I'm here.
We're here. You guys are here. We're having a good time. We got 163 people watching. I love it.
Love this. Now, I want to talk Trout real quick because I'm looking at his MVP seasons, and you mentioned his WAR. His best season OPS wise was in 2019. He had a 1.083 OPS. I remember that year. And maybe because that's the season I bought MLB The Show for the PS4. I remember that year, and he was really great that season. And his WAR actually was his second lowest as an MVP. Second lowest as an MVP that season. His greatest season for WAR as he won the MVP was in 2016, but his OPS was 991 that season. So, and then of course, 2014, we went to the playoffs. He had a 939 OPS and a 7.7 WAR. Isn't it just amazing that this guy is going into his year 31 season? He's got 3 MVPs already under his belt. And quite frankly, if he wasn't, I was going to say, and if he wasn't hurt this last season, homie's in the talk. He's in the conversation about MVP, right? I mean, the guy had 40 home runs in 119 games and 80 RBIs. I really think that if they manage Trout really well next season, he's going to be in this conversation. We're going to be live next year on this date, and we're going to be talking about Mike Trout in this conversation. And I would say Shohei Ohtani as well. So
Connor S says, our episode hype. I love
it. Hold on, we got to drink some more iced tea.
Yes,
here we go.
Yes, there you go. Mike, I have an interesting thought, and I'll be interested in what viewers are saying or would say about this. Trout, his rookie season, had more WAR than Miguel Cabrera, and Miguel Cabrera got the Triple Crown that season. So it was unprecedented. He made history.
Right.
Only I think the 3rd or 4th to do it in history. So it was unreal that he did it. But everybody was thinking about Trout and all of the things he had done in that rookie season, including all the stolen bases. I mean, stolen bases are fantastic, but it doesn't seem like the writers incorporate that into their decisions. But the thing is what I'm trying to get at is Trout had more WAR than Miguel Cabrera. They gave it to Miguel Cabrera. And retroactively, people have kind of said, I wonder if that was a mistake. Like they were so enamored with the Triple Crown. I kind of wonder if Aaron Judge gets it this season, and gets the MVP, are people going to retroactively look at this and say, man, people were enamored with what he was doing with the home run race and that sort of thing. I kind of wonder if this is where it might go should he get the MVP.
I think that there's always going to be a, 10 years in the future, 20 years in the future, look back and go, why did Don Baylor get it over Fred Lynn, right? Like, when you look at those stats. And I think that people are going to look at that. What you don't account for is the feelings and the emotions that those that are voting, the writers especially, that are voting for these players are feeling during the season. And what 10 years, 20 years in the future, we can't predict what will happen with a home run race, but what we're experiencing in 2022 is the last time we had any sort of home run race, it was not fun because it was Barry Bonds and he was breaking the record and people were kind of like, I just don't know if we want him to because of all of the cloud of mystery. Did he take steroids? Did he do this? Did he not do this? Right. And then before that, the home run race in 1998 with McGwire and Sosa, that was a lot of fun. But then as we looked back on that, as you got into the 2000s, there was that whole Congress case and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how people look back.
Paul Goldschmidt, NL MVP.
Wow.
How about that?
Okay.
Go Goldie.
I love that. That's a good move. He's always been so consistent, man. And it
Pujols,
seems like everybody who's really consistent goes to the Cardinals and decides to play in St. Louis.
All right, here's the breakdown. He got 22 first place votes. Machado got 7. Arenado got 1. So it's Manny came in second behind Goldie, Arenado. Freddie Freeman got 6 second place votes, and then Mookie got 1 third place vote. So those are the top 5 there. Goldie got MVP, Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado, Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts are your top 5.
Love it.
Goldie. How about that?
I like Goldie. I really do. He seems like he's a pretty consistent bat, pretty consistent player. To have him and Arenado on your team, I think that you're locked on, pun intended. You're locked on for a few seasons with those two guys holding down the corners of your infield.
I like this name. Just an option. He said, I think everybody already knew that Goldie would win. I think you're right. I just...
No, it was going to be Arenado because Arenado had... his stats, his weighted runs created plus was so much better.
No, I think I was thinking... Here's the thing. You and I have been so obsessed with Angels baseball and American League baseball. It's been hard to follow outside the league. And so
there's other teams.
the NL MVP race, I was like, whoever wins it, wins it.
Right.
But in my head, I thought Machado just because of how much the Padres needed him this season. But I mean, Goldie makes all the sense in the world.
Our friends at Locked On Cardinals will probably give you a really good breakdown of that. So if you get a chance, you want to know about that, check them out. They'll have a good conversation about Goldie and Arenado, and Cardinals are always in it. And that's what I love about that team. They're always in it. Plus they have red. And so that's gotta account for something. So
their red is more successful than ours.
You said that out loud. I didn't.
Yeah, this is a nice comment, Mike. We got Dredgen Yours Rose says, thanks to both of you. I wake up miserably for work on some days and I see Locked On Angels is already uploaded. My morning lifts up because of you two. Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you for saying that.
What are you doing that wakes you up miserable? Like, you should not do that.
Just getting up early stinks, but
that's probably what it is, right?
You know why that comment makes me feel good is because, especially during the season, you and I are recording our shows immediately after the game.
Right.
And then those usually end 10:30, 10 if we're lucky, 9:30 if we're really lucky.
Right.
And then it takes about, the shows are about a half an hour, but the prep and talking it over all together takes about 45 minutes. And so I'm editing the audio side. I'm getting the YouTube side up. I'm editing the audio side and making sure that's ready to go at 5 a.m. So thank you, Dredgen Yours Rose, because it makes all the hard work of editing and getting this stuff out there worth it to know that you guys appreciate the fact that it was that it's getting done and you have something to listen to in the
just
morning.
So watchers and listeners know, I am just the talent. John does all the hard work behind the scenes. I just show up and John says, turn your mic on, and I just start talking. So
there we go.
John holds the show together. So I'm looking at Twitter and it's again just blowing up. A lot of good conversation, a lot of back and forth. I mentioned Ben Verlander. He said Shohei Ohtani finished 4th in the AL Cy Young voting. Today, he's up for AL MVP award. There is no doubt that he is the most valuable player to have on your team or any team in baseball. What we just witnessed is the greatest season of all time, topping his 2021 season. And then he shared a stat, 30 plus home runs, 90 plus RBIs by a hitter, and a sub 2.5 ERA by a pitcher. Teams that had both of them. So the Braves did. The Braves had Matt Olson and Austin Riley, and then their pitcher was Max Fried. The Jays did. They had Vlad Guerrero Jr., and then they had Alek Manoah. And then the Houston Astros did. They had Yordan Alvarez, who's in contention, and Kyle Tucker, and then Justin Verlander. And then the stat is great. The graphic says, Angels, hitter, Shohei Ohtani.
Yes.
Angels, pitcher, Shohei Ohtani. The same guy.
Love that. Oh, man, we got a party going here. And where was it? This was a minute ago. I'm going through the chat and
yeah, a lot of comments.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, Scott Freeman said 163 people. Let's take over the bleachers for a game next year. Heck yeah, Locked On Angels bleacher party. Now we're at 177, so that's exciting. Thanks for being
Mom
here,
joined.
you guys.
Yay.
Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Jamie Lannister says Mike Trout will win MVP next year when he hits 74 home runs. Sorry, Shohei. Ooh. I love that.
Here's a great tweet from somebody that's watching MLB Network right now. And he said, these guys are annoying. Do they realize that people just want to hear who the MVP is and not hear them discuss who they think the MVP is?
Well, it's like the conversation's been going on and on and on and on. And like I said, they did Bryce Harper's announcement and then Shohei's announcement right after last season. And they talked to the 3 players. It was over more quickly than I thought it would be. Right. And I looked at my tweet from last year when I said, hey, Shohei's the MVP, 3:45 Pacific time. And now we're way past that. We've just done the NL. And so we're still waiting around. They're going to have to talk to Judge and they're going to talk to Yordan and they'll talk to Shohei. At least we can hear what Shohei has to say. So that'll be exciting.
Heck yeah. Johnny, do you think that that the Yanks actually bring Aaron Judge back? Or do you think that he is going to move somewhere else? You and I had a discussion, had a listener that actually sent us a message for Mailbag Monday and said, hey, man, what about Aaron Judge, who says no for the Angels? And you and I are like, man, we'd love that. That wouldn't be the only thing that we would do. But do you think that he goes back to New York? Or who can afford this guy? Maybe the Dodgers, but who can afford him?
If the Yankees don't do it, then they're stupid because this is your Mike Trout. This is the guy that that's been the face of your franchise for the last 5-6 years, right? Since he's come up and won Rookie of the Year. Like, there's no reason not to bring him back and give him the world, give him whatever he wants because he makes the Yankees relevant. And like they say, like if it wasn't for Judge, they wouldn't have been there. And that's what Yankee fans say. And I know they just brought back Rizzo, so he's going to be there. But I just think Judge is the face of that franchise and is the new Yankee. And to not see him in pinstripes will be weird. I love good baseball stories and I love when fun things happen. So if he does end up on another team, then I'll be excited for it as a baseball fan. But man, if I'm a Yankee fan and I miss out on Judge and, our proto Mike Trout leaves the team and for Yankee fans, right? Like I said, Judge is their Mike Trout. I think they're so foolish if they can't figure out a way to get him back. They throw money against the wall left and right. And this is the guy that you do that for. This is your franchise player. So that the Yankees got to get him back.
Angel fans and John, I'd love to hear your thoughts too. Like, so let's say we do that incredible thing and we sign Aaron Judge and he plays right field for us and we move Taylor Ward over to left field. And then we go and get maybe a bullpen piece or another starter. And then we're done. Are you satisfied with that?
It's a good question. So you're saying sign Judge?
They sign Judge for whatever it is. They don't get a shortstop. They end up just going with Rengifo, Fletcher, Soto, and Squid. And they leave the infield the way that it is. Bring in another right-handed pitcher, maybe Lorenzen. They sign Lorenzen, bring him in. And then they say, hey, we're going to give Herget a shot to close, and we're going to bring up Ben Joyce, and we're going to have Chris Rodriguez in the bullpen, and we're all done for the offseason. Are you excited about that, or does that feel like another 75 to 85 win team?
Well, the Angels are going to have to compromise somewhere if they want to spread the wealth and spread the need around the field.
Yeah.
And they don't have to, because there's no reason why they shouldn't spend. But I think the Tyler Anderson signing was a great deal. One, because it was affordable. Two, we needed somebody like that.
Right.
But I think it sets a good precedent for the rest of the offseason that they will go and spend. But here's my thing, Mike. If they had Judge in right, Taylor Ward in left, I would feel good about not having the superstar shortstop, because I think Judge's bat gets you what you need out of a productive shortstop. Yep. I think Fletcher and Rengifo up the middle, and possibly Livan Soto coming off the bench, Andrew Velasquez, defensive replacement. He's got the defense, and with the shift being gone, he's going to need to be able to play good defense, and we're going to need his kind of defense. So yeah, I think that if they made this move and Judge came in, that would be enough. And of course, figure out your bullpen, figure out the rest of the rotation, and you need a sixth man. Here's a great question, Mike, from Jacob Bullard. How are we paying Ohtani if we're paying Judge? What do you think about that?
Bro, we don't have to worry about that because that's not our job. No.
That's the next guy's job.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the second question I was going to ask, is what does that mean for Shohei Ohtani? And full disclosure, I want Shohei, and if it means not signing Aaron Judge or doing another big contract for like a Trey Turner, then I'm fine. I'm fine with that, because I want 100%. Shohei, because we've never had an ace since Jared Weaver, and I want to have an ace on this team.
Yeah.
And I think that we've surrounded him with a really great pitching staff, and he only benefits Reed Detmers. He only benefits Patrick Sandoval. He only benefits Jose Suarez. And even with Tyler Anderson coming on the team, I think that there's a gamer in him that I think he brings to this starting rotation that is going to be really, really good for the Halos. And so I think, we got to sign him, and we got to sign him to a long-term deal. Let's lock him up and give him the money that he needs and that he really deserves. And I'm just throwing out a what if with Aaron. And that would be, I guess, the other question is, could they afford both? And I guess that's going to be the question that the new ownership would need to be able to answer. Truthfully, we have about $50 million between where we're at and where the lid is, where the luxury
the theoretical
is.
Lid.
Yeah, the 233 or 232, whatever it is.
Yeah. Jamie Lannister said, I'd prefer shortstop, not Dansby Swanson, to Judge. Judge's age and injury history is too concerning for me. That's true. I think a lot of people overlook Judge having a full season this year. So I mean, he's got that injury history, and so that's also kind of probably why his stats have blown up the way that they have, because he played a full season.
First time in a long time he's played a full season. His rookie season was great. 52 home runs, right? 114 RBIs. And then he had good seasons in between, but he was hurt. He was hurt a lot, and he was able to play the full season. And this just goes to show, if you're healthy and you're able to play the full season, look at the stats that he could put up, which, if we're going to talk about injuries, let's talk about Mike Trout and the stats that guy can put up if he's actually healthy. And so I really think that's going to be the question that a lot of teams have to consider, is if we're going to lock in Aaron Judge, are we going to be okay with a couple of down years, and then he's healthy again and he ends up hitting a bunch of bombs and he ends up knocking in a bunch of runs? Like, those are the questions that teams are going to have to wrestle with and have to figure out.
David Vargas says, oh, no, that's not what I wanted to click. He said, how do we only have 34 likes at 240 people? Yeah, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up, get more people in here.
I said at the start of the show that you can help us out by hitting the like button.
That's right. Hayes said the Bronx will have a 9.0 earthquake if Ohtani wins tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
And if we had one, it would just be like, oh, is that an earthquake?
Yes.
Did you feel
it? We would not even blink an eye. Hey, but if we do get upset, people are going to say, oh, there's that West Coast bias again.
I know. Hey, C-Tao is a frequent commenter, and I always appreciate her comments on YouTube. She said, folks, Judge ain't coming ever to the Angels, and that's okay. No, yeah, we're just playing hypotheticals. We're playing MLB The Show.
Why do you got to crush my dreams?
You hurt Mike's feelings.
Yeah. I feel offended. I feel upset.
I feel hurt. I like this one here.
I agree.
Gabriel Martinez. Imagine if the Baseball Writers Association picks Alvarez over Ohtani and Judge. That would prove they know nothing. Yeah, Brian McTaggart, if he had a vote, he would vote Jordan number one. That was ridiculous. He didn't have Ohtani in his top 5 in the Cy Young.
He'd give Jordan the Cy Young and the MVP if it was up to him. Goodness. Jordan, no disrespect to him. He is a threat. He's going to be a guy that we're going to have to face because the Astros, obviously, World Series champs, and they're always at the top of the AL West. And so that's why it's important that we are getting pitchers, because we got these really tough teams that we're in the same division with the Mariners on the rise. Like there's some really tough teams. Mariners made a trade today, and with Arizona. So I mean, they're really putting the moves on, and Dipoto's going to depote, and he's trying to get all the guys he can to win here.
Hey, Anthony says John Frisch for Angels starting left fielder. Actually, you don't want that.
John's better in right field.
I'm better in right field. Yeah. That's what we'll go with.
He plays right field. It's important,
That's right. Was that Domino's or Pizza Hut? I can't remember.
Pizza Hut. It was old Pizza Hut commercial.
It was on the tape for Ninja Turtles. That's right.
Yes. There's some really insider Frisch Brothers information right there.
That's so funny.
Yeah. John played right field for our we had a softball league we were in for about 10 years, and Johnny played right field for 2 reasons. One, he was good out there, and 2, most people didn't hit it out there. So that's why he played in right field out there.
I was good in right field and not anywhere else.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's see. Lance Noel says, I don't want to be biased against the Mariners, but I'm lukewarm on their moves so far. Yeah. Teoscar Hernandez. Was that right?
Yeah.
He got traded from the Blue Jays, which opens up the idea. Obviously, they're not going to bring back Mitch Haniger, and I think Mitch Haniger would be a great option. We've had some listeners send that option in for voicemails and mailbag. He didn't have a healthy season, and he's not been the most healthy.
Right.
But what did you say the other day? It was like he just had a 30-something home run season last year?
One season, I think it was 2021. He had a 39 home run, 100 RBI season. His stat line was like 230 batting average, and he was 289 on base percentage. And so his stat line isn't fantastic, but what he does bring you is he's a clutch hitter, and he brings you a lot of pop, and that left field hole for us has been really a hole for us. And so I think Mitch Haniger, we could get him maybe on a short-term deal and not a lot of money. It does kind of feel like what we've done in the years past. We got Matt Harvey to pitch, and we've got this guy to pitch, right? It does kind of feel like that. Although I wouldn't put Haniger and Harvey in the same category, but if we did go get him, that's in my opinion kind of what it feels like. Is this kind of like, I guess he could fill that hole for us.
Sorry, Lance Noel. Sorry, not Noel. Lance Noel. I apologize. People. That's our whole lives, Mike. Fish,
right?
Fresh.
You're reading them fast. You should expect one of us to mispronounce something on the show. Normally it's me. John's got the English degree. I just have a biblical studies degree. So
let's see. We've got this one here. Ryan R says, we don't need an all-star shortstop. Squid is going to hit 280 next season.
Ooh.
Book it. Yeah, if he bats from the right side and the shift is gone and he somehow discovers something, Marcus Timms and Bill Hessel from Driveline. No, Bill Hessel's going to be pitching assistant. So it's I can't remember his name right now. The guy that they hired for assistant. Yeah. We talked about him. And our friend who's in the minor league system with the Marlins was like, "Oh, good hire." Good hire.
Yes.
Somebody in the comments.
That guy.
We'll find out.
That guy's a good hire.
Yeah.
Where we at, Johnny? What are they doing now as you look at what they're talking about?
They just got done talking about Ohtani, doing some stat comparisons, and now they're talking about Judge in the outfield, and they're showing some highlights of what Judge has done in the outfield versus Mike Trout versus Ken Griffey Jr. So, hey, little outfielder action from Judge. I guess they're trying to make that an important part of his MVP.
Okay.
But hey, that's you got to make a case. I mean,
right. They must have had some ads to sell, so they extended the show.
That's right. That's right. Let's see.
Yeah.
Look
interesting. The anticipation is killing me here.
That's
just
right.
To see can
you see the comments on your side if you
I can when you pop them up. Yep.
No. On the sidebar there, you got the chat. It says chat, caption, graphics. You got all that stuff?
I don't see any of that, but I do.
I'm in charge then.
You're in charge, which is why this is going so well.
Tony Calora, he said, I've been hearing the Angels might be sold to LA Japanese group. There seems to be a group of investors, or there's been a lot of interest from Japan in the team because of Shohei Ohtani, obviously. And then the guy, he's the owner of the LA Times. I want to say that he's Japanese. I don't want to mistake that, but I believe that he's the owner of the LA Times. So
his name's come up a few times.
Yeah, his name's come up a few times, and that's been an interesting watch. I still am sold on Joe Lackham, man. I think that would be really awesome to see him come in. Let's see. We've got highlight reel of Ryan R says Judge is just making routine catches all year. Yeah, let's show all the routine catches. That's great. I love that.
That's a can of corn.
They said, how much longer till they announce Ohtani 2022 AL MVP? Well, let's see. It looks like they're getting ready to talk to some of the other players here. So let's see. We're getting there soon.
Maybe another 15 minutes or so.
Yeah,
it looks like.
Probably. Yeah. Hey, Gabriel said. This is a reference to the other day. Nintendo Field, let's go. Let's get Nintendo to buy the team.
Good call. Yeah, we had a conversation about naming rights, and that was one that you brought up. Like, hey, let's sell it to Nintendo, and since there's a Japanese connection, like, let's sell it to Nintendo and get that Nintendo money.
HB Thingy said, love your podcast. What do you guys think about the FTX debacle? I heard Shohei is even getting sued over it. What a mess. Yeah, it's Shohei and everybody who was hired to be in commercials or ads for FTX is getting sued. I don't know how far that's going to go. My favorite part of this whole FTX thing, though, is that Larry David is part of that lawsuit. Yes. Larry David, creator of Seinfeld with Jerry Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And in the commercials, Larry is being told, hey, you got to get into FTX. It's the future. And he goes, I'm good. And then the irony is that his character in the commercial is telling people not to invest in FTX, but because he was in the commercial, and I was like, how is this sued? Not a Curb episode?
Yeah. I think that's dangerous, though, as they are getting sued for it. Like, that's dangerous because then it's going to cause a lot of celebrities and a lot of sports stars to maybe be really careful about what they're going to sign in with, right? I don't think it'll go very far. Yeah.
Right. Hey, our good buddy David Brun, if Ohtani doesn't win, do we blame the Astros or Manfred? Oh, Manfred. Always blame Manfred.
Yeah. Let's start right now. What can we blame him for right now?
Oh, this is an interesting perspective. Jacob Bullard. He said, devil's advocate here. Thoughts on actually waiting to go all in until the AL West cools off. Would want a new owner who wants to spend money with no guarantee of even a second place finish in the West. I think that's a good point, Jacob. But my thing is, the expanded playoffs just make it that much easier to get a wild card position.
Yeah.
And I know we say it every year, like, oh, if Trout hadn't been hurt and Rendon hadn't been hurt and if the bullpen could hold it, like there's excuses every year. Right. And that's on the team for not getting the pieces that they need. But when it comes to next year, you got to give it a try with Ohtani. You got to give it a try with Trout. You got to, in the one guaranteed year you have left of Ohtani, because ultimately it's his decision if he wants to stay, if he wants to go. And who knows what's going to happen with ownership. You've got Ohtani this year. You've got to try again, because if you trade him, if he's gone, you're out a hitter, you're out a pitcher, and then you're just treading water until that new owner comes. So I'm glad that they're going, all in on this season. Well, I shouldn't say all in, but it seems like they're going to try again.
They're moving in the direction of in. Yeah.
Yes, they're moving in the direction of in. It's not like the A's. We're not getting rid of our Matt Chapman and our Matt Olson. We're not getting rid of our good players.
Right.
So I think it's worth a shot. I think it's time to get the pieces that we need, get moving here, and we'll see what happens. So, okay, now they're talking about Yordan Alvarez. They see Aaron Judge and Ohtani. They just said it's a 2-horse race. I'm turning the volume up in my ear.
Awesome.
Tom Verducci's doing a narration about Ohtani versus Judge.
Good.
Interesting.
Let me respond to that AOS comment. I think I think for at least the next 3 to 4 years, you have to try to go for it because those are Mike Trout prime years. I know he'll be 31. Typically, your prime years are like 28 to 32. But I think you got to go for it with Trout at least the next 3 to 5 years and try to win, try to get to the playoffs because once Mike hits 35, 36, 37, and if you're not going anywhere, then it's an opportunity to maybe rebuild 1 year or maybe take a couple of seasons to try to rebuild because he's getting older, right? And you can develop some of those younger players. And so I don't think that the Angels will ever not go for it, at least in the next 3 years with Mike Trout in his prime doing what he's doing. And I think it'd be wise because he's the guy that you've had committed to this organization and you want to honor him by surrounding him with a really great team.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm thankful that they've made some of the moves that they've already made this offseason for next season.
I think we're getting close here. They're doing this narration video. Connor agrees. He's in the chat saying, I think they're about to announce it. So we'll see what happens here. We're going to get our live reaction right here on this special live edition of Locked On Angels.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
Here it comes.
No, this has been a lot of fun, honestly. And this is it's gone better than I thought it would. It was our first live, so I'm really grateful for everybody who's here and in the chat and just listening to us shoot the breeze. We ran through our rundown in the first half hour while they were doing all the National League stuff.
We were worried we wouldn't have enough to chat about, but here we are answering your questions as well. And speaking of answering your questions, on Monday, we do have a Mailbag Monday. So send us your questions. You can tweet at us. You can message us. You can also send us a voicemail. That'll be in the description of this show. But we would love to hear from you and the questions that you have, especially the results of what's happening today. We would love to hear your thoughts about new ownership, new players that we should bring in, what you think about the Tyler Anderson signing, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about that on Monday on Locked On Angels.
Got a good question here. David Vargas said, I think we should go after Dodgers and Rays scouts, pay them whatever they cost. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that's the thing we don't get enough news on in terms of who Perry is bringing in for that sort of thing. But I do have to say that the hires that they've added for coaching staff, the guys from Driveline who literally work with players all off season long, if hiring Driveline people from Driveline, the company, they help players all season long. And it's interesting that they're getting more jobs in MLB. And I think that Perry is doing a good job of recognizing what the Angels need in terms of development and scouting. So I think he's working on it, David. I think that he's bringing in some good people. He's brought in some people from the Braves organization, and we know that they've developed some great talent. So it's pretty great just to see the changes that Perry Manassian has made. Let's see, Snorlax. Are you guys still on the podcast next year? Yeah, by all accounts, we will be here. We'll be able to take you through the off season. I believe after winter meetings, we'll probably go down to 3 episodes a week, and then we'll pick up again when spring training starts. I got this in my ear, Mike, so I'm seeing it seems like we're getting real close. It's getting very epic. It's getting very orchestral in my ear.
Crescendo is happening. Yeah, for those that are wondering, we will be on the pod, and actually, we this last season were the 4th most listened to baseball podcast on Locked On Angels. So thank you so much for sticking with us and being with us. You watched, you listened, and the team was a hard team to follow this season, and yet you hung in there. And so we can't wait until they're very good, because I think that that's going to be an interesting conversation. We'll see. We found out who the true Angel fans are, and then we're going to find out who the ones that are bandwagon fans jumping back on, and we'll welcome them back in, right? We'll welcome them back in. Somebody's got to pay Shohei's salary.
Of course. Yeah, it's been a great first year, and Mike and I started a fan podcast just for fun last year. That's why we're the Super Halo Bros. I was like, how can we show that we're Angel fans and brothers? And then I came up with the concept of Super Halo Bros, like Super Mario Bros. And so that's why our artwork is, Mario themed, and it looks like us, but Mario and Luigi. I'm looking. They went to a commercial. They're going to talk to Judge next about his season.
Okay.
That doesn't give me a lot of confidence here. I don't know if that's we're just talking to him. He's just going to be here, or if it's we're going to talk to Judge and give him the award
give him. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what the results are going to be here, but so
I don't think if Shohei doesn't win, I don't think that it's not going to be a shock, but if the vote is unanimous, I would be shocked. I think that would,
I don't think it's going to be
right.
unanimous.
I think it'll be close. At least I was assume it would be close. But then again, the whole Cy Young conversation where he was fourth, like that, I don't know. That just didn't make sense to me.
That didn't sit well with me.
Right. And so I won't be shocked if he's super close and loses, but obviously I'm in the Shohei world and want to see him get this MVP. And the only benefit is if he doesn't get the MVP, maybe that actually helps his price point when we try to sign him for a long-term deal, right?
I like this question, Mike, right here from Jacob Bullard. He said, maybe you guys have discussed this in the past. If we sign a shortstop, who plays second base? If Rengifo hits like he did last year, I don't think Fletcher's defense is enough to keep him on the field. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Jacob, is the players we have now, a lot of them are depth.
Yeah.
And what's missing is the go-to top guy, right? So if your star shortstop gets hurt, then you have Rengifo and Fletch and Velasquez behind them. The problem is that we relied on Andrew Velasquez to be our full-time shortstop when that shouldn't have been the plan. And the problem with that plan was that Fletcher was going to be the everyday guy. And they were like, well, we'll do that. Tyler Wade and David Fletcher. The Angels didn't have a plan for shortstop last season. Perry went out and tried to fix the bullpen, spent money and spent it on historically good players. But that didn't work out as well. And again, like we talked about yesterday, bullpen's volatile. So that's an issue.
And I just don't think that Fletcher's out of the equation there. I mean, this guy was hurt, but I think when David Fletcher's in this lineup, he's great for this lineup. And he's also great
coming around again.
Yeah, but he's also great defensively. I know he's not fantastic, but I mean, there was a whole conversation. Was it 2020, John, or 2021, where we were kind of surprised that he wasn't in consideration for Gold Glove? That he wasn't somebody that people 21. Were talking, you know. I mean, the guy had a great season. Even Joe Madden said, remember him? Even Joe Madden said that
remember him
that Fletch should have been in the consideration, or at least maybe one of the top vote getters for Gold Glove. But when his bat's in that lineup, John, I mean, the guy can hit. He's kind of like Vladdy in a sense, because he can hit the ball anywhere and he can hit the ball wherever it's pitched and be able to make contact. And so I really like having him in there. And so I would say he's at second base. Rengifo's backing him up, and maybe there's a platoon if they do sign a shortstop.
Yeah, I think with Fletch, Rengifo switch hitting bat, you could platoon him and Fletcher at second, because Fletcher is a better shortstop. I wouldn't put Rengifo at shortstop.
Yeah.
And then, you might go with that quartet of Soto and Velasquez. I like this one. Dan Coates said, we should start a GoFundMe to raise money to keep Ohtani. Fans raise money to keep Ohtani on the Angels. That's fantastic. I love that. That
Dan
would actually
Coate
probably
is the GOAT.
work.
That was a good comment. I like that. Good stuff.
Hey, Connor Vogel's here. I recognize his name from a lot of questions. I think we might make a trade with the Rays for Glass now. Maybe package Rengifo and Suarez plus a prospect or two, and then spend big on a shortstop. I like Glass now. I am just always worried about getting fleeced by the Rays, but I mean, seems like Glass now is recovered from his injury. He had surgery, of course. So that would be an interesting option. What do you think about that, Mike? Suarez and Rengifo, maybe a prospect in that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it looks enticing. The only thing that I just keep going back to is let's talk to the Pittsburgh Pirates about Chris Archer, and when they got him from the Rays, like they didn't get the guy that he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. So I don't know. I mean, he's got a great arm. He's got a live arm, and he did come back and pitch last season. It would almost be like we would be getting another version of Noah Syndergaard to see what he actually can do, because he had been out for so long because of his injury.
Ooh, Double Down says, the thing is, Angels had a good defensive shortstop in Jose Iglesias. His batting average skyrocketed since joining the Rockies. Granted, it's in Colorado. Well, you're right about the batting average. He did have a good average. Bro, the defense was awful last season. That's why they cut him. It was really bad. That the defensive point does not stand, but he was a good hitter. But yeah, that's why they let him go about halfway through the season here. Mike, what do you think about this question? Daniel Jacobson says Angels should get Nimmo left. What do you think about that?
I think that's going to be a costly move, but you mentioned that in your GM episode, how
before I knew how expensive he'd be.
Right. He would be great, but he's really like right now, the vibe for Brandon Nimmo is pretty high. People are really coming after him and want him to be on their team. And so I think I saw like a 5-year, maybe $100 million deal or something like that was thrown out there for Brandon Nimmo, which, I mean, that's a good chunk of money if they end up signing him for that much. And that would be a good chunk of money for the Halos to have to fork out if they're going to give that to somebody. I'd rather have them do that for a really quality shortstop.
This is a good point from Jamie Lannister. He said Glasnow looked really good in the playoffs last year, still had the velocity, not the same situation as Thor. And that's a good point. Really good point. Yeah, because once you
remember when we were talking about how we're only paying attention to the Angels?
Yeah, that's our problem, right?
Your genius in commenting and letting us know what was happening like outside of SoCal is really helpful. So thank you, Jamie.
David wants to know, he's sending that voicemail. Any hope for the Ukaipa boy, Taiwan Walker, now that we signed Tyler Anderson? I'd still take Taiwan Walker in this rotation.
He'd slot in so well in this rotation. One, because he's just a right-handed pitcher, but two, he's a good right-handed pitcher. And so I think that would be a really great move for the Angels to make.
Mike, have you given up? Bryce Long wants to know, have you guys given up on Mickey Moniak?
I haven't given up on him. He needs to show me something. He hasn't shown me much. And when he came in, we were excited about him because he did hit a couple of home runs and looked like he was starting to
He's got to wear like metal gloves on his hands.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Keep his hands safe.
Hurt and then he got hurt again. Poor kid, right?
Poor guy.
Like, so listen, if
that
we got a shortstop,
when he got hurt.
I think that Odell and Moniak in left field could be a really sufficient hold. And I think Odell has a lot of upside, and it seems like Moniak does as well. But I haven't seen enough to be able to go, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy.
He's shown you how to, cast member Adventure said, he's shown you how to break a finger.
Hey-o, we got some
Carlos Castillo says, what about Benintendi? We talked about him a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah. I like Andrew Benintendi. I just think that his second half, he was trending down, and you have to pay attention to that. And he's more of a contact guy. He'd be great at the top of the lineup. He'd probably get on base for the Halos. He plays some good defense. I don't think he's a bad choice. I wonder what his price point would be. I think he's cheaper than Nimmo, but he was trending down at the end of the season. And I don't know if that was just because he was in New York and a lot of eyes and the spotlight was on him, but that's one thing that would concern me about him.
Kodai Senga, maybe Shohei takes him out to lunch in Japan and has a little chat. John Lynn says that's great. Yeah, you know what? I think, Mike, we want to do a making the case for Kodai Senga maybe sometime next week. We got a full schedule this week, but yeah, that would be a lot of fun. We did making the case for Xander Bogaerts, and that was a lot of fun. But man, Aaron Judge is still talking. Hurry up, Judge. You're a great guy. Still talking. I have a feeling I know where this is going, but let's be on here just for the sake of it.
We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not talking to Judge for 45 minutes like this and not giving him the MVP.
Yeah. You would think that at the bottom of the hour they would be done. I'm thinking like 4:30 Eastern or 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time. They're going to be done with this show, but it would make sense that would be what they end up doing. So here we are hanging out.
Anton Montez says, how about Dansby Swanson?
As I look at Dansby's stats, I don't think it would be a bad move. I just don't think his price point would be something I would want to pay for if I could get a Bogaerts or a Turner or even a Carlos Correa.
Yeah, he's got the one good season, which is this season, 2022.
Yeah.
And his best season for sure. Oh, wait a minute. We're talking about Ohtani. So maybe they're going to give him his time.
Okay.
And so maybe I was wrong about my Judge conversation here. Okay. Justin Option said they're just milking it. Yeah, 100%.
They totally are. Yeah. Again, it's the ad revenue. They probably have to get all the mentions in and all the commercials in.
Seriously. Yeah, this is taking way longer than it did last season. It was so fast last season. It was crazy.
Yeah. Was the Cy Young this long? I don't remember the Cy Young yesterday being this.
I think
Wednesday.
MVP is the only one that they go
milk
long
it,
for.
stretch it out a little bit. Yeah.
See how much we can get out of it.
Yeah. Listen, we've gone so long that my family that locks themselves in the bedroom while I'm doing the podcast have now come out of the bedroom and have decided that they're going to
let them
that
out.
they're going to live their lives.
I know. Usually we're like, hey, we need 25 minutes to record, guys. And then now here we are, an hour and 15 in. But
right.
Oh, this is great. Thanks for sticking with us, Jamie Lannister. I like this thought. They're going with Shohei last because they're saving the best for last. Let's go.
Vanessa Williams reference. We like that. You wouldn't save the best for last.
Steve Granado, former host of the show. You've gone so long that Twitter ended while we were on. Elon ended Twitter. It's over.
Steve's got the jokes. There we go. That.
Hey, C Tao says, are they even going to talk to Jordan? I don't think so, because they just did a whole video about how this is a 2-horse race. So I feel bad for Jordan. Sorry, buddy. Hey, JD Chandler in the house. What up, boys? Good to see you, JD. Good buddy here. Ryan R. Let's see. Ryan R. says, I'm ready to get disappointed. Give the award to the runner-up already. We know who really is the MVP.
Ryan's coming strong with his opinions. I like that.
I'm ready. Come on. We're almost there. I feel like we're getting close.
Yeah, I feel the anticipation building here. This is great. This is a good conversation to have. I love that we get to watch Shohei up close. And that's the thing. Like, no matter what happens here, we get to watch this guy up close, and we still get one more season with him. And I'm expecting that they're going to lock him up, because you don't have a guy like this and not try to at least give him a really great contract with a whole lot of money and keep him in Southern California.
This is a great point. Matthew Sanford, Jordan will have plenty of MVPs in the future. No need to be greedy. It's kind of like what happened with Vladdy Jr. last season. It's like, that guy will be an MVP, just not this season. And that was 2021. So let's see. Best hitter, maybe Judge, but the most valuable cannot be denied. That's right. I love that comment right there.
Good call.
Whew,
Good call.
Man, we are eagerly anticipating the announcement. We were like, man, we better be ready at like 3:30, because that's probably when it's gonna be. And here we are.
Move.
Come on, rookie mistake. But at least we get to hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually would love to see. I'm expectant for Jordan to actually be a really great ball player. He gives me David Ortiz vibes, and I think that this guy is going to be a really strong hitter for the Astros for the next few years. And then when his contract is up, it'd be interesting to see what he actually would demand on the open market from other teams.
Yeah, because just the fact that he was traded from the Dodgers, of course it's the Dodgers too, developing and getting a guy like Jordan and recognizing him. So, and then they traded for a reliever from the Astros, and now here's Jordan in the MVP race. So, all right, we've got a little video package going on here for Ohtani. We're looking forward to that. Brian Case got an interesting thought. He said, I hope the Angels move Rengifo to left field and can still move him to infield when needed. That's one thing that you and I have talked about, Mike, is the best teams have versatile players. Oh, there's Ohtani. He's talking to him right now. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad they included him. They
gave him some time. Good.
Well, yeah, otherwise people are going to tune out.
Yeah, right. I actually, that's an interesting thought, Brian. I think Rengifo in left field could be a potential problem solver for us out there. We mentioned about like, hey, if we signed Jose Abreu and we moved Jared Walsh to left field, he's such a strong first baseman, and I would hate to see him move, but that might actually be a solvable piece as well, especially if they sign a shortstop. Then you move Rengifo to the outfield, and then you've got Fletch, Soto, and Squid as your rotating second shortstop depth with whoever you sign at short. It's actually not a bad move, man. Maybe you need to give Perry Manassian a call and let him know that you've got some brilliance on your end. I like that.
He's listening, you know. Perry's a big fan of the show.
Brian K has got some good wisdom for you. He's got really good wisdom for you.
That's right. Hey, I like this one. This is funny. Put Shohei in left field so he can have a 15 WAR season. Yeah, no kidding. Seriously.
Actually, technically, the ratio would not equate for his time in left field, right? That's going to be what comes up in that conversation is, well, actually, it really doesn't matter because of this or because of that. So, yeah. Hey, Rhett Bollinger just tweeted out Shohei is about to be interviewed. It's part of the AL MVP announcement, and so that's great that he's having that conversation now.
I see it. I see him on here now. I'm trying to listen in, but also carry on a conversation. No, Hayes Perry is not actually listening. It's just we've got lucky on some of our calls as Angel fans, and they've come true every now and then.
Yeah.
All right, Ohtani.
They're
2.33 ERA, Ks per 9, almost 12.
Looking at his stats, great stats, man. What a season! What a season he has had.
This is the part where I'm eagerly anticipating what he's going to say.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted out Montel Von Porter from WWE. He said they just called it MVP and they tagged Shohei Ohtani. That's great. That's great. Yeah, if you're new to Locked On Angels, we John and I are also we're also
nerd wrestling
WWE
fans.
wrestling nerds.
We like all wrestling. AEW, all that stuff.
We do like AEW as well. Yeah, you're more in the AEW role. I haven't had the chance to really check out, but it's been fun. It's been fun to watch.
If Ohtani doesn't win, it's voter fraud. Stop the count. Oh, man.
Goodness. Yeah, Twitter's blowing up, man. People are having a good discussion. Some hot takes, man. Some really hot takes.
Rendon comeback season 2023. I like it. Give that guy a healthy season, man. Wrap him in bubble wrap because I just want to see him play third base and crush it this season. And you know, even if he hit like 265, it'd be an improvement, right?
Well, the good news is that it was his hand. He just needed to have surgery on that hand.
Yeah, that wrist. Yeah,
the wrist.
That's like the hips. The hips was a bad injury because that messes up your whole swing and your whole stance and everything.
And he wasn't struggling. I mean, he wasn't putting up the 2019 stats, but he wasn't struggling when he was back for that. He was hitting home runs and knocking in runs. I remember the game against the Nationals. He got the walk and was able to help us win. Elvis Andrus for shortstop, because why not? I am not a fan of Elvis Andrus, and I'm not sure why. Maybe because he played against us for so many years, but right? I
Texas
feel like
and Oakland.
Maybe it's because it's just not like an incredible update, or an upgrade at shortstop, right? Maybe it's just not an incredible upgrade that causes me to go, I don't know if I would want him or not. Interesting thought, though.
Fernando Priego, Ipe for most valuable translator. Yes.
He should get it no matter what.
We've got Alex Smallinger. Shohei Ohtani is the AL MVP because he's a hitter and a pitcher, and that's the reason he's AL MVP, hands down. Preach it from the mountaintops, my friend, because who can do what Ohtani can do?
Alex,
can we run through those numbers again as we're getting ready for the announcement? Let me go through these again. Shared this an hour and a half ago, and we have almost 300 viewers now. But listen to this. Whew. Number of players in MLB history, 22,835. Number of players in MLB history with a season of 180 Ks, a 2.60 ERA or lower, and a 5+ K per walk rate, 38 players. Number of players in MLB history with a season of 30+ home runs, 5+ triples, and a 350 on-base percentage, 147. The number of players in MLB history to do both in a single season,
one.
Shohei Ohtani, right
Just
here.
One. Wearing the shirt.
This is a Shohei face for every MVP award that he deserves. That's going to be the next, 26 seasons. There's 26 faces on here. So.
Yeah. Love that. Ohtani had more home runs than Vlad, Machado, Arenado, more RBIs than Bregman, Alvarez, and Betts, and Ohtani had a lower ERA than Rodon, Bieber, Burns, and more Ks than Morton, McClanahan, and Alcantara. So, who was the NL Cy Young Award winner. So, lots to be excited about.
Somebody tweeted 17% of National League Cy Young winners have been Randy or Sandy in history. I thought that was
nice.
Great.
That's
all right, we're
great.
still talking to Shohei here. We're still waiting on him to
win it
on the announcement. But
looking back at Shohei's 2022 season and even his 2021 season, the stat we don't talk about too often is triples. I know that that's not something that people really think about, but he had 8 triples in 2021 and had 22 or in 2022 he had 6 triples. And he's also a doubles machine, 26 in 21 and 30 in 22. So this guy really, he's quick. Like we've seen that. And his RBIs, he had 100 2 seasons ago and had 95 this last season. So he is somebody that is knocking in a lot of runners as well. And so that's why you got to get on base in front of him and not just be Mike Trout.
Frank DeSantis says they should have Victor Rojas to announce Showtime as MVP. Did you see Victor kind of teasing coming back? And that was today. And also Steve Physiok is retiring. JD Chandler says, I love when you guys talk stats because I have no idea what it means. I love that.
It's good. Yeah. When we talk stats, it means it's good.
That's right. James Hirota, a frequent commenter, has asked some questions before. Judge is going to get it. Even though Show deserves it, I'll still be happy for Judge. So I at the end of the day, I like it's a competitive MVP race. That's really what it is. And if you and I had our way, of course, we'd give it to Shohei Ohtani. But at the end of the day, if Aaron Judge gets it, like it's deserved. It was an incredible season. And, you know, you could argue back and forth all day long on who it's going to be, but I will not be devastated if it's not Shohei. Of course, I'll go on and I'll tweet and I'll stick up for stuff, but and stick up for Shohei. But I really don't think that, you know, it won't be a problem if Judge gets it. I think that it's earned either way. I just think that Shohei's been a more valuable player this season.
I wonder if this is what like news anchors feel like on election nights when they're just waiting for results to come in. They're trying to talk about, right? They're trying to talk about, well, you know what? He's going to get elected because he parts his hair on the right, and she's going to get elected because she's got curly hair or, you know, blue eyes, or that's what this conversation feels like. It also feels like the Rose Parade. You ever watch the Rose Parade New Year's Day, right? Like they're just kind of.
Well, I watch it in person because I walk down the street.
You get to walk down the street and
do that.
Good old Pasadena.
Right off Colorado Boulevard, baby.
Love that. All right, looking at Twitter. Man,
we're on a commercial here, so I think it's going to be after
when they bring it back.
Commercial. Yeah. So let's just anticipate next year 2 hours to do the announcement.
Yeah. James Hirota says, I mean, frankly, I think they both should get it. They both should get this somehow.
What if they split it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's been a co-MVP. I forgot. We talked about it, but I forgot who it was. Somebody know that one?
Yeah. If somebody want to look that up for us, JD, would you look that up for us?
There you go. JD, you can figure that one out. Just Google MLB co-MVP.
Co-MVPs.
Tommy Summer says, when is the announcement? Tommy Summer, it looks like it's coming after this commercial. They've milked it as long as they possibly can.
It's taken them 1 hour and 28 minutes to get to this point. The reason why I know that is because that's what our timer says in front of us.
Oh, there we go. Jamie Lannister's got us covered. Willie Stargell and Keith Hernandez. I can't stand him.
Seinfeld reference. That's also one of the things that we love as the Super Halo Brothers.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
He spit on us.
And I screamed out, I'm hit.
Mark Kubica is also a Seinfeld fan, so when we get him on the show, we're going to test his Seinfeld knowledge.
That's right.
Find out how big of a fan he actually is.
Connor S. says, I think they're going to talk to Jordan as well. I saw 3 dots when they were interviewing Ohtani. Oh boy.
Okay.
They're really going to milk this until 5 o'clock? Is that what's going to happen here?
I think that might be the case.
Ooh, baby.
All right.
Glad we started at 3:15.
Yeah. How about this? We got to talk to our boss and see if we get credit for 15 shows because we've
That's
been on
right.
it for
That's right.
an hour and a half.
It's gonna take that long.
That's
I like
good.
this one right here. Ryan R. 95 RBIs on the Angels is like 150 if Shohei was an NY. Oh, no kidding.
Absolutely.
If he was hitting over the short porch every single day in Yankee Stadium, man.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Oh, they're not going to talk to Yordan. He's unable to join them. That's kind of.
This is like when you get.
Hold on.
Is this it?
Oh, shoot.
Uh-oh.
They're talking to Giancarlo Stanton.
Oh.
A former MVP.
They're milking
talking to Stanton. Huh?
They're milking it for sure, right?
They're milking it, but they talked to Pujols before they give it to Goldie.
Okay.
So maybe they'll throw a curveball and Trouty will sneak in and he'll be the one to give it to Ohtani.
Interesting.
Oh boy, this is driving me nuts. I like doing this. It's just like, they're really milking it this time.
We went
like an hour last year.
We went from professional to now you're getting full Johnny.
That's right. That's right.
All the professional shine has been wiped off because they've milked this for an hour and a half.
That's right.
Oh, that's
Halo
funny.
Bros. Hayes says, Halo Bros, who's your favorite Angel player of all time? Jared Weaver for me, baby. Jared Weaver. Yeah. I mentioned it earlier. Took that hometown discount to stay and was just awesome. And I loved his fire and I loved his tenacity on the mound. So,
good old Jared Weaver. Mine's Tim Salmon. I'm a huge Tim Salmon fan. We ready? You're teasing it.
Aaron Judge,
MVP.
He won. Presented by Giancarlo Stanton.
You
I had the same thought. Carlos Castillo. Where's Trout? Yeah, I thought they would throw us a curveball, and there we go. I want to see how the voting breaks down.
Yeah.
Here we go. 2 first place votes.
That's it?
Aaron Judge got 28 first. Shohei got 2 first place votes.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I can finally turn this off, and I screenshotted the results here. So let me do this. I'm going to try something, and let's see if we can get this up on the screen because that's how we're flying by the seat of our pants. So
here we are.
Here we go.
You do that, and I'll carry it until then. This is for editing purposes. I can say Aaron Judge is the 2022 MVP.
Yep.
And it looks like he got all of the first place votes except for 2, which I'm shocked at because I felt like it would be a whole lot closer due to Shohei's season. But my gut told me that 62 home runs is really sexy for those writers, and I think that that's what is going to put Aaron Judge over the top because breaking the AL home run record is awesome, and his stats were great. He did lead the league in 7 different categories. Yeah. So he did have an incredible season. So interesting. Wow. Not surprised.
Only 2 votes for Shohei though. Like, come on.
That's surprising. That's really surprising. Yeah.
Yeah. Where was it? Yeah. Just to go over Aaron Judge, he led the league in runs, home runs, obviously, RBIs, walks, on base percentage, slugging, OPS plus, and a 10.6 WAR. Whew, okay. I'm not upset, but Shohei could have at least gotten more than 2.
Yeah. That seems unreasonable that he didn't get more than 2 votes. But listen, Aaron Judge had a phenomenal year, broke the home run record in the AL and deserves the AL MVP. And for Shohei Ohtani, I think he's in this conversation every single year. Yeah. As he has a good year. Like if he has a bad year, it makes sense. He wasn't in the conversation his first 2 seasons, right? So if he has a really good year, I think that this is going to be something that people are going to have to wrestle with for as long as Shohei is in Major League Baseball, for as long as he's playing at this elite level. They're going to have to wrestle with what to do with him. And it felt like, and you and I have talked about this, it felt like they kind of pushed him off a bit and didn't give him the Cy Young nod, right? Because they didn't want to have that be influential on the MVP race. And so he ended up being fourth in that voting. But interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, I've got a couple comments here. I showed one on the screen. Broman74 dude said Judge should win, but Ohtani only got 2 votes, at least 6 to 8. Jamie Lannister, I thought he would have gotten like 10 first place votes.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
I'm with you.
And that's the thing is, I felt like him being a finalist for Cy Young contention kind of makes this, it makes it more competitive at the end of the day, because when you're a finalist for Cy Young and MVP, like the writing's kind of on the wall there. But, like we've said it multiple times. A few months ago, if Judge is the MVP, totally makes sense. Totally understandable. I just, in retrospect, I think we're going to see a lot of this. A lot of people will say, I don't know if that was the right choice or not, as stats get bigger and da-da-da-da-da. So let's go to a couple stats, thoughts here.
28 first place votes for Aaron Judge, 2 second place votes, 2 first place votes for Shohei Ohtani, and 28 second place votes. So they did go 1-2. Nobody else got a first place or second place vote. Yordan did finish third, and he had 22 third place votes. So there was very clear about who people felt was the MVP, who people felt was number 2, and who people felt was number 3.
Connor S. said, I like what Erica Weston said. The most remarkable season in MLB history, not a single piece of hardware to show for it. Okay. Yeah, that's what I think is the most absurd part about this whole reward season with Shohei, is the fact that didn't get a Silver Slugger, no Cy Young consideration. Like, man, that is just a huge shame. So that's a shame that he hasn't had anything come home with him. So I don't know, man. That's frustrating. Mina says, I cannot believe he only got 2 first place votes. Yeah. It is what it is. We knew that he wasn't going to win. Or, no, we shouldn't say that. We were thinking that Judge was likely to win because writers are enamored with the home run stuff. And I just feel like Shohei should have gotten more first place votes.
Here's the deal. He has said after this last season, he wants to really help the team get better by improving himself. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about what could he do. And there's a lot that maybe he could do. But this, I think, might just be fire in his belly to give him a drive for next season. Because 2 seasons ago, there was not an expectation that Shohei Ohtani was going to do what he actually did and win the MVP and hit over 40 home runs and then pitch at the same time. And then this season, I think people kind of got used to it. I really think that this is going to be the revenge tour of Shohei Ohtani 2023.
And the Angels.
Right? This is going to be one of those seasons where you're going to see Shohei come out and really play well. And let's incentivize it. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's win. And then that way, all of the talking points are not there anymore. And that's essentially what gets in the way here is, well, he broke the record, or, well, the Yankees did go to the playoffs, or, well, listen, all of that changes when the Angels get to the playoffs, when Shohei has a fire in his belly, when he pitches the heck out of that mound and hits the heck out of that ball. Like, all of those talking points go away when this team actually puts it all together. And so I think that that's just going to drive them this next season for 2023.
Hey, Sam Blum had a vote, and he was one of the ones for Ohtani. Of course, because he's watched him and seen what he's doing on a daily basis. And I think that's the frustrating thing, is not everybody gets to see what, and I'll be fair, like, we didn't get to see all of what Aaron Judge did, but I don't think people understand what Shohei did this season and how unprecedented it was. Do you think this will fire Perry up? What do you think, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. Perry's going to make sure that this team is ready to go. Perry's going to make sure that this team has all the pieces that it needs with the budget that he has. And with that signing of Tyler Anderson, I don't think that he's limited as much as we might assume that he is.
Yeah, I was very surprised that we finally got a multi-year deal for a pitcher. And does that mean Artie is taking his hands off the reins here and letting Perry do what he needs to do? So
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, this
So
is
good.
this was about the Cy Young last night. A Houston writer not having Ohtani on his Cy Young ballot was ridiculous. Yeah, Daniel Jacobson. That was Brian McTaggart. I've seen his interactions with people on Twitter, and he does not carry himself as a MLB.com writer. He's very much a fan of Houston.
Yes, he is. Well, listen, this has been a whole lot of fun. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen today. And for your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. They're sharing some of the biggest stories of the day, like the MVP and the AL and the NL, instant reactions, big game recaps, and of course, the take of the day. They're available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, we really appreciate you guys joining us today. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for sticking around. We know it took forever for MLB Network to get to the announcement. And congratulations to Aaron Judge. Shohei is first place in our hearts and on our minds. Always. Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter or at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for making this first live so much fun. Mike, we have a Monday mailbag coming up on Monday. So if you guys want to join in for that, just message us Twitter, Instagram, or you can give us a call on our voicemail line. Call and complain about the results, 714-409-6396. We're going to get into all of it. And of course, if you're watching this live now, this will be our episode for tomorrow's show. So those who weren't able to be here for it can participate and be part of it. And if you want to listen back on the audio side, we'll have a much quicker version of the audio side, not a 2-hour version, I promise. But until Monday, everybody, have a great weekend. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. We love you, and we'll see you on Monday.